Welcome back to the Working Well podcast and our special life lesson series. Now, today's lesson is one that took me a long time to learn. And honestly, it's one that I still have to relearn regularly. Now, lesson 10 is this: build positive walls and gates to protect and curate your passion and enthusiasm. Now, at first glance, that might sound a little harsh. Walls, gates? I know that doesn't exactly scream openness or collaboration, but stick with me here, because this lesson isn't about shutting the world out. It's about being intentional about what you let in. Now, here's something that I've experienced again and again, both personally and professionally. Energy and passion are the foundation of sustained greatness, not short bursts of motivation, not grinding harder, not being just resilient. Sustained greatness comes from having energy, clarity, and enthusiasm available most days, not just on the good ones. The challenge is that modern life is not designed to protect those things. See, distractions are everywhere. You've got notifications coming in, you've got meetings, requests, people's opinions, different news cycles. Everyone wants a piece of your time, your attention, and your emotional bandwidth. And if you don't consciously protect those resources, they will get depleted. And fast. What I've learned is that high performers don't just manage time, they curate energy. They build systems that remind them who they are, what matters most, and where they're going. That's what I like to call a productivity and performance moat. Not to isolate yourself, but to keep the important stuff from getting trampled in day-to-day life. Now, recently, I asked someone how they were doing, and they responded with, "Life has definitely been lifing today." That phrase stuck me with its simplicity, its truth, and its hilarity. Life will inevitably start lifing. Curveballs show up, health issues pop up, family stuff, work chaos, unexpected opportunities that aren't actually opportunities. And that's why motivation alone is unreliable. When things get noisy, emotional, or overwhelming, you need structures and guardrails, not just good intentions. And that's where the walls and gates come in. Your walls, they define what's non-negotiable. Your gates decide what gets access and when, who gets access even. And without them, everything feels urgent. And when everything's urgent, nothing's important. Now, let me make this painfully personal for a moment. One of my dominant saboteurs is what many coaches call the pleaser. I like helping people. I like saying yes. I like over-delivering. Might sound noble, except when it's not paired with clarity, it becomes a liability. In coaching, we call this a strength overdone. Now, for years, I said yes to too many things without checking whether they actually aligned with my energy, my purpose, and my priorities. And the result was overcommitment, fragmented focus, and a slow slide into the chaos of both work and life. What made it worse is that over-delivering felt productive. I felt like I was being valuable. But underneath, I was just leaking energy. I didn't need better productivity hacks. I needed better filters. And this is important, so I'll say it clearly. Building walls and gates does not mean you're being selfish. It doesn't mean being rigid or unkind. It means being clear, crystal clear, clear on your values, your purpose, your goals, your current season of life. Without that clarity, it's almost impossible to know where your guardrails should be. Everything starts feeling equally important. You end up reacting instead of purposefully choosing. When I started getting clearer on my why, something interesting happened. Saying no got a lot easier. Not because I cared less about people, because I cared more about my alignment. Now, here's a question I want you to sit with. How much of your day is signal and how much is noise? Now, noise isn't always bad, but too much of it drowns out what actually matters. Your walls, they help you reduce the noise level. Your gates help you choose which signal to focus on. And that might look like fewer meetings, but better ones. Fewer commitments, but deeper impact. Fewer inputs, but more intentional thinking. See, calm and focus don't come from doing more. They come from curating better. So let's make this practical. Walls might include say a non-negotiable morning routine, protected deep work time in your calendar each day or even each week, clear personal values that guide decisions. And for gates, that might include saying, let me check and get back to you instead of an automatic yes, limiting who gets immediate access to your time, choosing when and how you consume information. None of these are about control for control's sake. They're about preserving the energy required for you to do meaningful work and to live a meaningful life. Now, if we zoom this out to leadership and teams, you'll see that burnout doesn't usually come from a lack of resilience. It starts with too much unfiltered demand. See, great leaders don't just push for output. They help their teams build healthy walls and curate gates that clear priorities, clear expectations, and clear boundaries help set. See, when people know what matters most, they stop wasting energy guessing. And when energy is protected, performance inevitably follows. And I'll be honest with you, I'm much better at this than I used to be, but it's still a practice. Every new opportunity requires a pause. Every exciting idea needs a filter. And yes, every yes should earn its place. Because when you protect your passion, you show up better for everything that does matter. So I'd like to leave you with a few simple questions. What's currently draining your energy that doesn't align with your priorities? Think about that. Where do you need a stronger wall? Where do you need a more intentional gate? And perhaps the most important one, what would change if you protected your enthusiasm as fiercely as you protect your calendar? Or do you protect your calendar? That's another question. So if this lesson resonated, please share it with someone who you feel is running on empty but doesn't know why. And as always, don't just think about it. Reflect, choose, then take purposeful action. Think well, live well, and I'll see you in the next lesson.
That wraps up another episode of the Working Well podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Now, which guests or topics would you like to see featured on the show? Message me through LinkedIn or on the contact page of timborys.com with your ideas. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Tim Borys with Fresh Wellness Group, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.